All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Carthritis. This will be episode 10, finally. I mean, released a few more than 10, but this is episode number 10, so hooray. No, not even a clap.
All right. I thought you were just going to add a sound there.
I'll fix it in post, don't worry.
Add a sound. Yeah, fix it in post. Sound of silence for episode 10, huh?
Church bells ringing in the background.
Okay, so as per usual, we'll go around the room introducing everybody. First, I guess the slightest bit of housekeeping. You can find all the Carthritis episodes on iTunes from now on. For some reason, it hasn't been up there, just available through your podcast players or apps, but now it's also on iTunes, so yeah, more easily available. There's one clap. Okay, that's
that's actually my shoulder cracking. Sorry.
I'll take
it. It will do.
Certainly. Yeah. So let's get to the question of the day. I know you're fiending for a question, Joe, since you're going first and you have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I always love this part of the show.
Okay. So today's question: what is the one topic you kind of want to talk about, but it never comes up?
Well, my name is Joe Reinreb, aka Joe Bernier. One topic I'd like to bring up.
Not necessarily like to bring up, but you have a lot of knowledge or you want to talk about it, but it doesn't come up.
Oh, I guess I'm a very good guitar player, so I don't like to kind of showcase that fact, but when it does come up, I can talk music progression and theory very well, but nobody knows about that and cares, so it rarely ever comes up in conversation.
I've known you 10 plus years, and I have the exact same thing, Joe. I'm a guitarist, I know musical theory. Why haven't we talked about this?
Probably because I don't want to bring it up. It's one of those things, I guess.
All right. Me neither, I guess. Don't want to bring it up.
It's very interesting. But yeah, I know a lot about chord theory and progressions and stuff, so yeah.
Cool. All right, so I'm Sargoth or Marius, whichever. I don't have a clear answer. Music is not a bad one to me, but I think philosophy would be the number one. So I spend a lot of time reading up on it, thinking about it, as one would. But I can't shoehorn it into a conversation. It just doesn't work, and it does certainly not come up.
Philosophy is a hard one.
Yeah.
You kind of have to start that one on your own, which is always
difficult.
Yeah, and then not many will jump on. Really.
Yeah, it pretty much starts and stops.
Yeah.
I'm Summoning Salt, and I guess if I'm to answer the question, coin collecting is the thing that never comes up because nobody cares about it in the speedrunning community. But I have a coin collection, and I can never tell anyone. So
it has come up during your streams from time to time. But
yeah, I force it into my streams, and nobody cares about it. But it's okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. Nice. Well, hello. I am Zarkov, also known as Clark to many people, or not. For me, I guess I got a couple. One sort of, one just in general would be like World War I, World War II. I love talking about wars, historical wars, but specifically those two.
Yeah, because you like to hear about the cheese-eating surrender monkeys. Is that it?
Yeah. I like hearing about the French giving up. That's always nice. But and also in the same vein as Salt here, I collect bottle caps from beers and whatnot. Yeah, so
interesting.
But I can never get to talk about. But actually, the only time I can ever get to talk about it at length is one specific Belgian goes to Mario Kart meets called Jeffrey Eubank. You know the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only other person I've ever met who collects caps. So yeah, I can talk to him about that very, very infrequently because he doesn't use like Discord or anything like that. So yeah, that's mine.
Although you did go on a little bit when you talked about getting some bottle caps from Harvey from overseas.
Yeah, that was just because it was a Harvey story. That was, but yeah, he's sort of weirdly into everything. That guy, but yeah.
He's our
interesting
white whale. Yeah, white whale. Yeah.
White whale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moby Dick reference that I butchered.
Oh, right, yeah. The person we'd love to have on, right? Yeah.
Yes,
But he'll never.
yes.
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
So yeah, moving on to some news before we do our Let's Talk segment. So there's been a bit of stuff happening since the last episode, so we should skim over some world records, I suppose. Let's go with Scow B first. I mean, he usually gets a mention on every show.
Yeah, good old Scow B.
Scow B. Time trial ranked number 2. Everything else ranked number 1 at the moment in Super Mario Kart. He just started his attack on the All Cups run. The what's the category?
Yeah, but he's only
exactly?
really sort of attacking himself on that one, isn't
I guess that would be the speedrun.com RTA official quote-unquote world record, but it's not something that typically we spend a lot of time with. We're mostly time trialers.
Sure.
But yeah, it's still a very impressive world record.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
He got the record? Is that what it?
Yes.
yeah, he got both NTSC and PAL within a couple of days. It was pretty sick, actually. And the record used to belong to a Japanese player called Takahashi, and it stood for some years. I forget how many, but quite long, really.
At the very least, I
Yeah.
think 4 years, because it was, I think 2014 is when he said it.
Yeah, partially due to the category being underplayed, but it's still not a bad record at all.
Indeed.
So Scow B took it upon himself to cement his position as the number 1 kart SMK player, and did so convincingly, I'd say.
Yeah.
See, I remember
Smashed
that
it.
old All Cups record on YouTube from DK28. That was like my first Super Mario speedrun I remember seeing. I don't know
that
how
was
old
segmented.
It was it segmented? Might have
I
been.
think it was
on
on SDA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I think Carol saw that, our usual co-host and time trial world champion, and he was rather disgusted that that was the number 1 ranked real-time attack.
Yeah.
Hated that.
I can attest to that as well. I never really took that record seriously, but that's just because we come from a background that's a little bit more in depth, I'd say.
Yeah, the thing is, nobody played it, so the guy DK28 or whatever was. Yeah,
It was
he
like
should
it was
get
like
the
a
record.
default world record, which because
Sort of.
one person submitted to one
It's
website.
because it's so few of us ever thought about doing that, didn't we? Because to us it was all just time trial all the time. We never really considered running GP. There was GP records, but once again, just for the one, like for the individual tracks, not for the whole thing.
Yeah.
No one ever really considered it, did they?
It's kind of interesting. You could draw a parallel to Mike Tysons Punch-out, but I'll refrain from that for now.
Oh, it's true. That's accurate. That's how it was for like 10 years, and then Sinister just decided to do single segment, and now that's what pretty much everyone does.
Yeah, so it kind of flip-flopped there. So now single segment is where it's at, and the individual level thing is sort of on a back burner or something.
Individual levels for Punch-out like really suck. I don't know why people like them so much.
There's too much RNG too.
It's basically all RNG. There's some skill, but you're not like grinding out skill usually. You're just waiting for the luck. That kind of sucks.
Right, because you can hit the skill ceiling. I mean, several players have, and the rest is RNG.
I mean, single segment's kind of like that now too. Like,
at the highest level,
around waiting for the luck.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of because you've kind of pushed it in that kind of direction where, I don't know, the runs themselves is very execution heavy. However, now the record's gotten to a point where it's either you get the pattern or you don't, and then you reset.
Yeah, and you're seeing that from. See, I don't know how much you guys know about Punch-out, but Zalord1 is like the number 2 player. He's right behind me on the leaderboard, and he's kind of going through the struggle that I was going through, like last year, where you were just waiting to get a run where you didn't get bad luck somewhere, and you're kind of just doing everything basically correctly, like in every fight, because it's not that hard, and you're just waiting for like good luck in every single fight all the way through, and he hasn't quite gotten it yet, but
I know he recently lowered his PB from I think 1549 to 1534, if I remember correctly.
35, yeah.
35, okay. But yeah, so he's definitely a legit contender for your world record.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I had no idea that Salt was the world record holder for this game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes,
Oh,
we'll
nice.
definitely get back into this topic later on.
Yeah.
So you'll learn more, Clark.
Oh, good. Look forward to it.
Don't you always learn a lot on these episodes?
Yeah, well, you know me. I paid no attention to most things. I'm always like, oh, right, hey. A bit like sort of Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber when he walks past and says, oh, hey, that guy walked on the moon. That's pretty much sort of me for every episode.
Fell off the jetway again.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm a limo driver. Let's not get to Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. Let's just do it. Dumb and Dumber podcast. I would do it.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, we all are.
Right. Let's move on a bit. So we have to pick and choose a few of these world records because there's been too many. I guess Beck Abney should get a shout out for his Fraps Nolan 3-lap shortcut. I'm not going to get any help on this, am I?
He just got it a couple days ago, right? I think.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in his Discord, and he got it by like 0.1, and the record had stood for 6 years.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
huge.
it was a huge cut for him. It was like a 0.2 cut for him and a 0.1 cut on the world record, which is, in some games that's whatever. But trust me, in this specific shortcut 3-lap, that's huge because it's so maxed, and nobody thought there was any time to be had anywhere outside of TAS, really.
Wow.
That's
Impressive stuff.
I mean, the TAS is faster, but you have to account for human precision here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the fact that it stood for 6 years too, like that
Sure.
shows you.
Yeah. But the thing is, Beck Abney is, I think it's common knowledge, but maybe not. He is a bit better than he shows on the leaderboards. So the full game all cup run, he's dominating, of course. That's his game now. But for the time trials, he has sort of not pushed anything too far. So there's still a bit more to go there.
Yeah, I think what happened with him is like he used to be like into both time trials and he'd do sometimes the full game runs, and then he started streaming on Twitch and his channel got big and people just wanted to watch him do the full game instead of the time trials, so he started doing that a lot, and now he's just like coming back into the time trials more now. So
yeah, but good on him for growing his channel. No, not many card streamers do that. I think he's the only one by quite a margin, actually.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's fun streaming.
Yeah, it's surprising considering even like MR isn't sort of bigger considering how good he is.
No, it's just catering to your audience. I mean, we talked about this previously, Clark, but watching the full cups run is more varied for most quote-unquote casual viewers instead of just the incessant retry on the one track.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
It's more of a traditional speed run.
Sure, absolutely. But having said that, the way he plays that all cups run is disgusting to anyone who's played the game at that level, or
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
tried to play the game at that level, I should add. It is the skills needed to pull off what he does consistently. I mean, he's almost down to RNG at this point, which nobody thought would be a thing.
Yeah, like you can't say like, oh, nobody's gonna take the record from him, because someone obviously will eventually, but it's just hard to envision it right now because how he's put in so many more attempts and just gotten so much better.
One thing happened like a month and a half ago. Matthias Rustemeyer actually had a go at the All Cups thing, and he lowered his own time by a full minute, like within a couple of tries.
This is for skips?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
how far away from Beck's time was he then?
Well, it's still almost a minute.
Right. Okay.
I don't have the exact numbers, but it's still a ways off. But I mean, he knows how to drive. He doesn't.
Well, of course.
Perhaps know the shortcuts as well. But he could get there if he put his mind to it, I suppose. And then there's the RNG, so it's always going to be possible.
That would be a really good fight. That would, if Beck and MR both went for that record, that would be pretty.
Yeah, that would garner some views.
When did you say he got the PR?
I mean, a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. It's not that long.
Saying nothing's happened for him in 2 years.
Oh, that's incorrect. But maybe I got the category wrong. Maybe it was non-skips? No, it couldn't be. Because then I wouldn't care.
You might have just not updated it on the website.
Yeah, possibly.
So they have
it's those Mario Kart mods. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, this is all Lafungo's fault.
He's weaseled his way into MK64 as well.
Okay, so that's SMK and MK64 done. I think there's been some Vi got back into MK64 and he did some damage, but I think we already covered that. Anyway, the shortcuts are bopping in MK64 these days, and that's cool. Speaking of shortcuts, we just did a shortcut episode with Goomba, the reigning Mario Kart Double Dash champion, and now inventor of 2 shortcuts within a month or something.
Indeed,
it's pretty crazy. So he has the world records for those as well, by default, because nobody else.
Wasn't that inspired by Salt's video though, right? All of that?
Yes, that's something I kind of wanted to bring up, because I asked Goomba about it. Well, Goomba said that the Mario Kart Wii Ultra shortcut video was an inspiration, and I asked him about how it, to what extent, but it's like a direct correlation. So he saw the video and he figured out, well, this reminds me of what the checkpoints look like in Double Dash. Maybe I should look into it a bit more. Maybe there's some ultra shortcut stuff. And lo and behold, it didn't take him that long to find theoretical shortcuts. And now he has 2 working shortcuts. I think he has a couple more on the back burner, but they seem impossible for now. But yeah, everything does until it works.
See, I had heard about the shortcuts. I didn't know that he was inspired from my video, though. That's cool.
Oh yeah, that was a one-on-one correlation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So grats by proxy, Salt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how does it feel, Salt, to be responsible for new advancements into games that you've made videos about?
It's like hard to think about it, because like all I'm doing is I'm just researching and then putting out videos. Like I'm not like, I know this stuff happens as a result of it, but it's hard to like think about it and like really appreciate it until you actually see people post like, thanks to this video I was able to find this new skip, or inspired me to do more attempts and I got this record. And yeah, feels pretty cool. I like it. I don't have anything more interesting to say about it. Like I don't. Sorry about that. It's hard to.
No. So I'm sure it's not something you set out to do, but you do inspire people, and most of the time nothing comes from that. But when the world champion of the game starts pouring hours into sort of what you made him look into, things can happen. And yeah, this is really cool just to see Goomba go after this.
And if you guys remember at the end of that video, I talked about one on Rainbow Road that hadn't been done yet, but it like people were working on, like it's technically possible, but like really, really difficult. Nobody had done it yet. And I thought that like eventually somebody is going to be able to do it after I post the video, but so far nobody's actually been able to pull it off. So
this is the Mario Kart Wii one?
Yeah,
right.
Wii.
Because Goomba is working on one on Rainbow Road in Mario Kart Double Dash. Yeah. Apparently that one's not going to work out.
No, that's a shame.
Everyone wants it because that's the least racing track there is. So it's kind of boils down to just hit the zippers at this point, where every other track is just an empty fest.
Oh.
Yeah, Double Dash wasn't known for like skips at all before this, right? Like it was pretty much just drive around.
Yeah,
there's just one
skip.
Yeah, one skip. No.
And then 15 years later, Summoning Salt puts out a video. 1 month after that, the second shortcut is found. One more month, and the third one's found.
Well, actually, technically, we recorded a podcast with him, and then 24 hours after that, our podcast was already obsolete.
Obsolete, yeah.
Because he kept testing and trying it. So yeah.
So okay. Goomba said during our conversation he was explaining some stuff, and then he thought about maybe I haven't tried that approach. So after we recorded the show, he went and explored a bit, and a couple hours later he found the third shortcut. So yeah, immediately I figured, okay, we have to re-record this or something. All right, more world records. I think the Super Mario Brothers 1 is worth a mention, and I think maybe if it's not too much of an ask, Salt, you know a bit about this game, huh? So.
Oh yeah. So.
School us.
All right. So Cosmic was the guy who got a 455, and Cosmic has had the record in Mario kind of off and on for the last couple years, but he hasn't been like the top guy usually. Like when people think of Mario, they think of like Darbian, or pretty much just Darbian right now because he was like the really big guy for so long. And Sumwest was the guy who had the record as of like a month ago. He had a low 456. He was trying to get a 455 by incorporating this new pipe clip in 1-2 that people used to think was impossible. Then it was just barely possible. And Sumwest had it down to like a 10 or 20% trick. So he was getting really consistent with it. He was getting a lot of good attempts. He had runs die very late in 8-4 that was on 455 pace. So people thought it was just a matter of time before he was going to get it. And then Cosmic is kind of in the background. He just ties Sumwest's record one night, and then he says, okay, I'm going to try going for the 1-2 pipe clip, and we'll see how it goes. And the very first run that gets past 1-2, it finishes all the way through, and it's a 455, and it's
9 attempts later.
Yeah, it was 9 attempts after he tied the world record.
That's got to hurt for the other guy, isn't it? That's got a sting in it, all right?
It's hard to like comprehend because
yes.
it had taken Sumwest so many attempts past 1-2 to just get like attempts to 8-4 and to the Bullet Bill glitch and all this crazy stuff that had to go right. And I don't know how he did it on just one attempt past 1-2. I can't think of any comparison anywhere else in speedrunning that's even close to what he did.
The stars just aligned, right? Yeah.
And he was saying it all the way as well after the first got the 1-2 clip, and he was like,
yeah,
okay,
he couldn't believe it at all. He was like kind of like shrugging it off. It's like, all right, well, you know, we got this far, we got this far, and then all of a sudden he's just like, well, I go down in history as the most clutch gamer of all time during his stream.
He was just joking around the whole time because he was like, there's no way this is gonna happen, so I could just say whatever. Oh, this is gonna be it. Just one attempt, and I got it. And then every single level it kept going. So.
It's total randomness, but yeah, that's obviously high skill, but yeah, it's just unbelievable how fast it happened after tying the world record midstream, you know, so it was weird.
Yeah, it like, someone compared it to like, I don't know if you guys have seen my Chalk Mountain video, but
I
it's
was
like,
just about to say, the Weather Tanko is the one thing you could compare it to.
It would be almost as if Abney got the 3 out of 3 Weather Tanko after the first time that he ever landed like the first one. Like almost the same thing.
Mm.
Not like not like a completely accurate comparison, but like the same idea where like he just hit the last 2 on his first try getting the first one or something.
Yeah, so you get your first Weather Tanko, and then you think, oh, that's cool. Let's try for another one just for fun.
It's like a 1 in 1,000 probability too. Like it's not easy. He just pulls it out of nowhere.
I gotta say, I had my money on Sumwest to be the first 455.
Pretty much everyone did. It was really looking like it was going to be. Nobody else was even trying. It was just him. And then, because Cosmic did one 15-minute session of attempts of 455. That's all it took.
Jesus.
And there's no way there's something shady going on here, right?
No, Cosmic is as legit as they come.
Yeah. Because this is... Yeah, it is in the realm of crazy where it should be doubted almost.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's not like he couldn't do all those tricks. Everyone had seen him do them before, so...
It's just the timing of which it happens so fast that typically it takes thousands and thousands of attempts, and it took him like 9.
Easy.
But yeah, I made a video about the world record progression of Super Mario Bros. 1, and it's like, I don't know, a year and a half old now, so I'm probably going to just redo it at some point because there's been so many more records since then.
That's the one that ended with 457, right?
It ended with the first 456.
Oh, okay.
Darbian, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so much has changed since then, so probably just going to redo it at some point.
But what's the task time?
So the task is a 454.03, and so the record now it's like 455.9, and in terms of how much lower it can go, you can save like maybe like 0.2 in 8-4, so like 455.70, something like that. And do you guys know how the frame rule system works?
Yes.
In like the other levels?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of additional frame rules, the task gets one in 4-2, 8-1, and 8-2. And humans have been able to do the one in 8-1, and it's probably like one in a few hundred if you were to just try it, if you were a top level runner, one in a few hundred. 4-2, there's like a theoretical method that nobody's done before that came out like a couple weeks ago, but I don't know if anybody's ever going to be able to do that. And in 8-2, there's a frame rule that right now is not humanly viable, but I mean, who knows? You have to be like frame perfectly fast all the way through to get the frame rule. So
just get that guy to run it again. He'll probably do it on his second go or something.
Who knows, man? Cosmic's pretty clutch. I don't know, but yeah, in terms of this record is probably not going to go below like 455.6 unless somebody figures out a more consistent way to get one of the other frame rules.
Man.
But we're not seeing the next second. For sure this time.
Yeah, 454, I can't imagine that happening. I mean, to be fair, people couldn't imagine a 455 happening a couple years ago.
That's true.
No.
Because you'd have to get every frame rule and every bullet bill glitch, and that's a tall order.
There's one... Yeah, so there's one bullet... The bullet bill glitch is 8-2, but there's flagpole glitches in the other levels, and we're already getting all of those, but it's stuff like 4-2, you clip into the wall in a weird way, where you get pushed like immediately without getting trapped in the wall. And
Yeah.
it's basically TAS only, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, well done to Cosmic for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably, chances are it is going to go down in the annals of history as the most clutch SMB1 run for sure.
Uh-huh. But the thing is, though, it's probably going to be beaten somewhat soon, just because when Somewhat goes back to doing attempts, if he just gets this, because he's been so close to getting it, if he just gets it with a better 8-4, which he'll probably get a better 8-4 because Cosmic's 8-4 wasn't like super amazing, then he's going to get the record back.
So do you think Somewhat is slightly better? Is that what you're saying?
I think overall, with consistency of the tricks, Somewhat has like a higher consistency with most of them. With 8-4, Cosmic is usually better, but he wasn't, I think, because he was trying to play it safe because he was on 455 pace.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, it's a toss-up. They're both insane.
And
So-
Cosmic is currently still going to beat his own world record, so it's not like he just stopped at 455.9. So
Yeah, he's not doing like a super long grind for it, but he's still throwing some attempts at it just to see.
yeah.
Really, this is the sort of game that should never have been pushed this far. But hey, it's fun and people watch it, so
Yeah.
I guess it's gonna live as a speedrun.
Yeah, it's
It's
got
an-
crazy history.
It's an iconic speedrun, to say the least.
Sure, but it got a slow start. Like many of the popular speedruns today, this was one of the slow start ones. Because, people had like 5.0. This is your video salt, right? Like 5.05 Kessler or something?
Yeah, Scott Kessler had 505. Yeah, I think back then it was not a very popular speed game. Like, I think
No.
back then Punch-Out was probably a more popular speed game.
My, how the times have changed.
Right, let's try moving on a bit. Okay, I think that's a lot of the world records we wanted to touch upon. I guess there was a Mario Kart Super Circuit world record where Andy Lundin lost one of his world records.
This I'm not aware of.
Who plays that game anyway?
Yeah.
Lafongo.
Yeah, well, who? Oh yeah.
Oh, and it's actually called a world record untie. We talked about this a couple of shows back, how untied is a hype word in one game only. That's Goldmine.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a thing, or was a thing for individual levels in Mike Tyson's?
Untied? Yeah, I mean, it can be.
Maybe not the word itself, but because so many world records were tied at some point, I take it.
Yeah, so there's decimals in Punch-Out after the minutes and seconds, so it's like it's not as big as something like in GoldenEye, but tied records do happen, definitely.
And I think I heard somewhere that there's only like 6 different decimal configurations.
Yeah, there's 00, 25, 48, 61, 82, 97, and 99.
That's interesting how there's 97, 99, and 00.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't know why they made it like that. I don't know why they didn't have it be a normal timer, but who knows?
very strange, but hey, that's NES coding for you, or early gaming.
And they're not all the same amount of frames either, so it's kind of strange
Yes,
how that works.
that's true. Punch-out in general is just like they made so many, like, why on earth would they code that into the game decisions? And I could talk about it for hours and hours, but I'm going to spare you guys. But just know that it is crazy the way they programmed that game.
I'll just
they
say
made it, like,
8-second delay. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Fine. Anyway, so yeah, shoutouts to Rusty, who got 2 world records in Mario Kart Super Circuit, and Nosy got 1 world record. These are
here for my fellow guy from the same town as me.
Whom you've never
more
met.
people
They
from
live 5
Watford?
minutes away.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Top guy.
So the meme is Shock, who was the reign supreme of Mario Kart Super Circuit. I think he almost had 80 out of 80 world records at some point.
Jesus.
You wasn't far off, yeah.
Yeah, so the website now has the monthly update of the records has a Shock world record counter. So it now it stays at 71 out of 80, which is still, respectable.
Very well.
respectable, sure.
Right, and then talking about untieds, Carl Jobs gets another one in Goldeneye. I mean, this guy is on a tear.
Yeah.
I know Goldeneye just got a new #1 ranked player, but
Luke Sklar's.
Luke Sklar's, with the toughest to pronounce, or it's not the toughest to pronounce, but it's a weirdly arranged last name.
Yeah.
Sklar's? Come on.
We're gonna go check that out.
Sounds like a disease. Anyway, he's been close for a while, and he finally bopped Ryan Isran, or Perfect Ace, from the #1 spot. But the thing is, much props for this. But I feel like a lot of Goldeneye players don't go for this because it's sort of a trade-off. What times do you go for? Do you want untieds, or do you just want to score points on the point system? So you kind of have to choose where your efforts go, and you can have a lot of world records and be nowhere close to #1 spot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think he was like 60th overall for the longest time, and then all of a sudden he just started to grind away and lower, like consistently, like every single not track, but every level. Not like he's not Carl Jobs. It's like the exact opposite, basically. Like Carl Jobs is going for untieds, and he was going to for overall rank, which I guess are two different philosophies of the game.
Sure, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And so grats to Luke, but I feel like Carl is really shaping up here, and if he wants to, he can probably make a push for all the ranked ones.
Yeah, I'd say, as far as talent is concerned, Carl Jobs has no reason not to become #1 eventually in his lifetime.
I think when we had Goose on the show, he said something that even Carl knows, that he's not the most talented Goldeneye player. It's just the way he goes about things that makes him get untied. But he said something to the effect of Carl knows that Ryan, or Perfect Ace, is certainly a cut above himself.
Yeah, as far as like the amount of time it takes to get a world record or untied, it might take Ryan a grind of maybe a week to get a significant record. While meanwhile, it will take Carl maybe a month or a year just to get that level of a run. It's mostly, it's not like RNG for like that, those kind of things. It's just the amount of time one wants to spend to grind away. So yeah.
Well, he did get Damn 52, so he's forever.
That's
praised.
insane. That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Let me just mention the level. So after getting 33 on the Cradle after the new Strat Discovery, Carl wanted to see if he could get the untied world records on first tied and then untied on Jungle. So this new Untied is a 52 on jungle. So the meme is he got another 52, yada yada.
Yeah.
This one came a bit easier than Damn, let me tell you. But it's one hell of a video. So that one's worth your 52 seconds for sure.
The damn 52 just for I guess history's sake. When you bop like 130 people from a world record, that's a little bit more significant than jungle. I don't know what that tie was, but I don't imagine to be over 100 people.
No, definitely not. No. No, the Damn was a bit special in that sense because many people got the 53 and that's okay. Let's play another level because that's it.
Yeah.
It was kind of not thought to be possible to get a 52 for a long while, so...
I mean, all the pieces were there. Like in the Goose episode, he did say that theoretically all it takes is a 3 boost run and an execution. So and also using 2x control style.
Yeah.
To save you the extra 0.3 seconds. So he said there's nothing that was preventing people from doing it. It's just the amount of the grind that somebody would have to go through.
Yeah, but even when those stars align,
I
think the 52 Carl got was a very high 52.
Yeah, if not like the highest, but still counts as 52. So yeah.
Anyway. I had no idea that the guy who was number one, Ryan, was British. Who knew?
Yeah.
Not me, apparently. Yeah.
This is Clark's learning corner again.
Yeah. We're learning.
All right, I think that's all we're gonna do for the world records this time. So I mean, there's probably more. Check them out wherever you want. What's the number one speedrun? r/speedrun on Reddit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just speedrun.com if you want the fraudulent ones. All right, so let's go over to our Let's Talk with Summoning Salt. So basically, Salt, we have 3 questions. So it's what's your true name? What's your next world record progression video? And can you do one on my favorite game?
3 best questions.
I'm doing this as a joke, just so you know. These are the questions we will not ask, actually. More than anything, we just want to have a conversation.
Nice, let's do it.
So let's just start off with Mike Tysons Punch-out, huh?
Cool.
Was there anything we touched upon that we should continue on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll talk about kind of what single segment is, because people, like, I talk to people about what single segment is for Punch-out, they sometimes don't quite get it. Like, I know you guys will, because Mario Kart's kind of similar, but like, it's not. So single segment for Punch-out isn't timed like with a traditional timer, start to finish. It's you take the time you get in each fight and add them up, and that is your total time. So, like, everything in between the fights doesn't matter. You can theoretically sit like on the blue screen in between fights for like 10 minutes if you want, and then do the next fight, and it won't matter. Like,
although people on YouTube will make it a point to say, how is this a speed run?
Oh yeah, the YouTube experts, they will they'll give you crap, but
the best kind of experts.
Oh,
right?
the best.
Can I just shoot in one point of disagreement here, or what? Devil's advocate.
Sure.
Theoretically, you could take a dinner break, could you?
Yes.
Yes.
And
incredible.
I think part of the thing that people don't like about this is, so you get some good RNG, you get some good fights, and then a tough fight is coming up. And this doesn't have to be Mike Tysons Punch-out. It could be any game with a similar system. So you just put down the controller on the next fight screen or whatever, and then you go over to a different setup and practice that fight.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's a thing. People have mentioned that before too. And
sure.
I guess my answer to that is I didn't make the rules. I just followed them. So if you want to do it, you can. I mean, I don't know really a way around that. You could say like don't stop for more than a minute between each fight, but that's like that's like something you'd see on Twin Galaxies or something, because they try to like put artificial rules in there. Like they did that once for the stop clock glitch, where they said there's this glitch in Punch-out where you could freeze the timer, and they said you could freeze the timer as long as you restart it within 5 seconds.
It's
which
an
makes no
arbitrary
sense because the timer's frozen. How can you tell how long 5 seconds is? Like So
It's twin galaxies, though. I mean, come on, they're not to be.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Devil's Advocate Part 1. Continue, Salt.
cool. Okay, I guess the second really important thing to understand about Punch-Out is it is a game of luck, pretty much at this point. It used to have this really good balance between execution and luck back when the record was like 16-30, when they had both, like, you would need to get good luck in a bunch of the fights, but you'd need to be really careful to not make any mistakes. But at this point, you're kind of just doing the inputs that you need to do and waiting around for the luck to show up in all 14 of the fights. And it sounds like it would be really frustrating, and it is really frustrating, but to me it's also really fun because, like, I mean, there's no feeling like when you're on a world record paced run in Punch-Out where the inputs aren't necessarily that difficult because you've been doing them for years, but you need to just be so careful to not mess up, and you need the luck to happen, and then if the luck happens, then you just get more nervous, and it spirals and spirals, and it all ends in Tyson, where you're just trying to hit frame perfect punches over and over again, and that trying to do that under pressure is just ridiculous. And point is, Punch-Out is really random, and it's frustrating, and it turns a lot of people off of the game. But if you really get into it, it can be really, really fun.
But when you're running, you approach it with this in mind.
Yeah, of course.
The RNG is not that bad. You just know you have to throw attempts and keep on performing.
And the thing is too, like, if you, unless you're going for like sub 15:30, or even I'll just say sub 16, but which is like a minute away from the record, unless you're going for a time like that, the luck really doesn't matter all that much. All you need to do is just focus on your execution. So it's not that bad. It's just, and especially once you are going for like a really top level time, as long as you know it's coming, it'll be okay.
That's kind of what you're saying. This is a proper skill-based speedrun up until 16 minutes or whatever, arbitrary limit, and then it becomes just the stars align.
Yeah, it's not like entirely skill-based.
Not entirely.
I mean, there's still some luck elements, but there's definitely a transition point around the 16-minute range where you really need the luck to happen.
So how much more are you trying to push it? I know the Mario Kart community is all talking about barriers or mini barriers, sub this, sub that. So sub 15 is the big one. Is that even feasible?
Yeah, the record is 15:10 right now. I actually haven't been doing many attempts lately, but I was like over, I guess in the fall and summer, spring, I was doing a ton of attempts to try to get a sub 15. And I just could not get it. The luck, I mean, if I had executed everything perfectly in every attempt, I don't even think I would have gotten a sub 15. Like maybe a lower, like below 15:10, but yeah, sub 15, it's definitely possible, and I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But it's just so daunting to try for it, and it's convenient that the border just happens to be right at the minute range between 14 and 15. But I guess that's my ultimate goal for now. So 14 something.
To the untrained eye, a couple of years, the barrier 16 would have seemed just as daunting, probably. It just so happens that 15 is sort of a rounder number.
Yeah, I remember when the record was like in the 16:30s and 20s, people just talking about, okay, well, it's pretty much just Sinister One saying this because he was the only guy running the game. But he was talking about how sub 16 was like theoretically possible, but it would probably never happen. And then one day he got on a sub 16 pace, and he's like, well, I'm never going to see that pace again, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, just stuff like that.
Did you take the record from 15:42 all the way down to 15:12?
Yeah, so the record was 15:57 by Zallard. That was the record that was standing when I took the record. So
yeah,
I cut it by 15 seconds to 15:42. And then from there it went to 38, then 34, and then 31, and then 12. And then that stood for like a year and a half. And then I got 15:10, and that stood for like 6 months now.
Yeah.
So you haven't been pushed by any other player during that period? Since sub 16, you only pushed yourself?
Nobody else has really been trying that hard until now. Now Zallard one is going hard at it, and he's getting close. He definitely does have what it takes. He's really good at Tyson. which is obviously important because that's where you can kind of make or break the run, and it's at the very end. And it's, I could see him doing some damage for sure.
So, just out of curiosity, do you think, let me just ask Salad or Sinister first? Who's better?
I don't really know if I want to pick between them. They have their strengths and weaknesses. Like,
Yeah.
From what I've seen, Zallard seems to have more consistency on Tyson, but I think Sinister One has strengths in some of the other fights before Tyson. Maybe Sinister hasn't been playing much lately, so I'm not really sure. But Zallard's PB is about half a minute below Sinister's right now, but Sinister hasn't ran the game in like 2 years, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm more asking from how you've seen them before perform previously, because I know Sinister's sort of out of it. He's playing Mega Man 2 now, I believe.
That's correct.
I caught a stream of that like yesterday, and I believe it was world record pace. And
He's a bit off from the record. The record is like 26:36, I want to say, and he has like a 27:26. But he's put a lot of time into that game, so I'm not sure what time he's aiming for exactly, but
maybe I saw it wrong then. But anyway, the run was super hype, and it came down to what was it? The Dr. Wily 4, where you have to use the crash bomb.
Oh yeah, the end where you use the crash bombs to you knock down the barriers and then shoot the things. Yeah.
So he missed, because one of the crash bombs you have to destroy 2 barriers with 1 shot, and it's pixel perfect, I believe.
Yeah, and he missed it by 1 pixel.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun to watch though. It's always interesting seeing the good gamers play other games like PJ is one of my favorites, and Cypher. Whatever they play, it's just entertaining, and Sinister is no exception. When he used to play Mike Tyson, I used to watch that a lot, and now I guess I'm watching Mega Man 2. Just follow the guy, not the game.
Yeah, same with me. No matter what he streams, I always find myself watching him. So he's a good streamer. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else on Punch-out? Was there a third part you want to add?
I guess if you don't know how the Tyson fight works, I'm not sure how familiar. I mean, Joe obviously knows how Tyson works, but I don't know if you two do.
Yes, I do.
Anyone else who's watching.
I know nothing about it.
Okay.
But what's new?
So Tyson, the deal with him is you have to fight him at the end of every single segment run. He's the last fight, and the way that you deal more damage to him is you delay so you always punch him twice for every punch he throws. And your second punch has to be delayed to the last 60th of a second before he would block it for it to do maximum damage. And what you're trying to essentially do is just hit as many of those in a row as you can on Tyson. So frame perfect punch after frame perfect punch, all the way through the first minute and a half of the fight. And after that, he switches to hooks, where instead of throwing 2 punches, you throw 1 punch, and you try to delay that punch to the last 60th of a second before he would block it. So the whole fight, all you're trying to do is just land frame perfect punches. And what you essentially have to do in single segment runs now is fight Tyson at the end of a world record paced run without missing a single frame perfect punch in the first minute and a half of the fight.
Insane.
Bloody hell, that sounds.
There are about 10 of them in the first phase alone, right?
Phase 1 you have 10, phase 2 you have 6, and then after that you can hit up to 8 in the last phase.
Yeah, so it's just a frame perfect nightmare.
And then if you get the 8-second delay, which is where he sits there for 8 seconds without doing anything, then you lose a ton of time. You lose more than 8 seconds, actually. You lose closer to 10 or 15, and the run's pretty much dead. It's a 50-50 chance that it happens to you. He also could just do random 1-second delays.
Oh, that just sounds like so much bullshit.
It's pure RNG.
Controller smash time.
Yeah. And also, this might just be a working theory, but doesn't the version of the game kind of matter in that regard as well?
Yeah, we have these theories. There's 6 different versions of the Punch-Out cartridge, and they all have different circuit board stamps on them. And we theorize that they give different luck. One of them's the lucky version, but there's probably no scientific evidence that can back that up. But
I have
don't know,
scientific
we're
evidence on my
superstitious.
part that my cartridge is the worst one because
Yeah, you're Tyson. You like get so many 8-second delays. I don't know what happens.
I can get like
with your
30 in a row. It's not 50-50 to me. It's basically 99% chance.
But yeah,
So-
Punch-out. Tyson is just, he is a mess. He's a nightmare, but he's a fun nightmare. So I fight him a lot.
So let me throw a couple of thoughts out there. Probably one too many. First off, so preparing for this show, I watched a lot of your other interviews, Salt. So it was, I think, My Insane Pace and Mitch Fowler.
Yeah, we did one for Punch-out with Mitch. I remember that.
And Two Dads.
Cheese and Simply. Yeah.
And then one more was just the name of a guy, but I forget his name.
Christian Sears.
Sears, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched all of those because, yeah, I want to know, and I just wanted to check out what has Saul talked about beyond boredom. So how can we avoid that? Whatever. So I don't want to ask you a lot of random questions, but there's got to be a
Whatever
couple.
you want, I'm down to answer.
So the Mitch Fowler thing was less of an interview, more of an Mike Tyson analysis, I think.
Yeah, we sort of just broke down the single segment run and
That was
explained to him.
The 15-12.
Yeah, and like a week after that, I ended up beating that record. So.
Right. Anyway, that's a great watch for anyone who wants to get into that game, I guess. Although daunting, probably. So, for the my question is about the phase 1 frame perfect punches. So you always do 2 punches. So it's is the rhythm between them dependent on when you do the first punch, or is the rhythm always the same to get the frame perfect second punch?
It's always the same. I don't know exactly how many frames it is, but that's the nice thing about it is that you could get into this rhythm where you always know the amount that you need to wait after doing that first punch to hit the second one. And I guess it's why it doesn't really seem like a frame perfect trick. It seems quite a bit easier than having one frame to hit it, but yeah, I think it's a rhythm thing.
Yeah, rhythm is the best part of muscle memory, sort of. So what you want to do is dodge his punch very early and then get the first punch as soon as possible after his hitbox recedes.
Ideally, you want to, if you're going for like a Tyson record, especially, you want to do your dodge as tight as you can, which means doing it as early as you can. So as soon as you're able to not get hit by him, you're like snapping back to center so you can get that first punch in, so it goes faster.
But you're pretty reliant on RNG then, because you're basically predicting when he's going to throw a punch as opposed to reacting when he's throwing a punch.
You just have to assume that he's going to do the punch like as fast as he possibly can, and just assume that that's when he's doing it. And if he doesn't, then you either have to react and dodge again, or you'll just get knocked down because it's at a bad timing.
And just kind of cross your fingers he doesn't do any switchbacks.
Right. If he does a switchback, you're pretty much getting knocked down.
Yeah.
All right. So this is not relevant for the single segment run.
Right. For single segment, you can do that at certain points, but there's some punches that you just have to wait and react to because he like has a pretty good chance of knocking you down if you guess wrong.
Yeah, and there's no leeway. You can't have a proper mistake. That's
There is though. There's some punches where he'll either do a short delay and a long delay. And if he does the short delay, then your first dodge will dodge it. And if he does the long delay, then as soon as you do the first dodge, you do another dodge and it'll dodge it.
right. That's what we in the Street Fighter scene or fighting game scene call an option select. So you do one thing, and if that thing fails, another thing opens up.
Yeah, and the timing just happens to work like perfectly so that you can do the dodge.
So the whole thing about the last frame before a block being, is it double damage?
Yeah, so the first punch always does 5 damage if you do it like on the right side of the screen. But just simplify it, it always does 5 damage. And the second punch would normally do 1 damage, or would it do 2? Either one, I think it does 2 damage.
I think it does 2, yeah.
And then, 2 damage, and then if you delay it to the last frame, it would do 5 damage. and if you get blocked,
okay.
it would do 0 damage. So you're trying to get that one frame where it'll also do 5 damage.
But that's hard programmed into the game, so the last frame before block has additional damage. Is that Mike Tyson only, or several fights?
I don't remember that being like that on any other fight, which just begs the question, why bother programming it for Tyson if you're gonna not throw it into any other fight? But
yeah. Okay.
there's a couple fights where it's like that. I think Bald Bull, there might be some.
What about
yeah,
Sandman?
Bald Bull has something.
Does Sandman have that as well?
Sandman does for the gut punches.
Yeah.
I guess Macho. Yeah, Macho does. Okay, some fights do. Some don't though. Like Dawn 2 doesn't. Honda, I don't think does. Hippo does not, but Hippo has one. If you punch him really early at the start, it'll do more damage. So
Well, you can get an extra punch if you punch him within a 5-frame window.
an extra punch and the first punch does more damage.
Ah,
so
okay.
it's both.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so there are more frame perfect punches that do more damage, but there are also other frame perfect punches. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, most of them are frame perfect. I think Bull, you have like either 2 frames or 6 frames depending on the punch. Macho, I don't know how many frames you have, but there's a buffer that you can always hit where you need to hit it. Sandman, the same thing. There's a buffer you can use, or you can just manually time it if you want. So what the programmers essentially did, I guess, was for some fights they just decided, okay, if you punch him later than you normally would, we'll make your punch do a little more damage. And for this fight, you'll have 6 frames to do it. This fight, you'll have 2 frames. This fight, you'll have 1 frame. And they just randomly assigned it to a few different fights. And again, I don't know why they did that. It's not something you would stumble upon, like, accidentally and notice. And I don't know.
I just
cool.
think
I like it though.
Sure, it's sort of like SMK. The longevity comes from finicky programming, really.
Right. And there's stuff like that all over the game too. Like there's the opponent's guard. It's complicated, but they programmed guard so that they will block your punches in certain situations. And there's these chains of inputs you could do where you'll tap up so their guard will go up, and then hit them in the gut while their guard is up, and then hold up and start to hit them in the face. But while the punch is going off, let go of up so the guard drops back down, and then it'll hit him in the face. There is no way you would ever find that casually, but they programmed it into the game.
Yeah.
All right. So there's actually some sort of delay to the reaction of the computers that you can
Manipulate.
exploit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Some fighters have a fast guard, some of them have a slow guard, some of them it's in between. So there's this move, like the move I just described is called the Dizzy Destroyer, and it only works if your guard speed is this very specific midway point. And there's 2 fights that have that guard speed, and it's Honda 2 and Macho Man. Every other fight, there's some fights where you can just get multiple gut punches in a row if you throw their guard up. There's some where if you throw their guard up, it'll go down while you're hitting them in the gut, so the punch won't go through. If they have a fast guard, that's the case. There's some fights where you can do what's called a misdirected gut punch, where their guard will be up. You'll press the punch button, and while it's going off, you'll just tap up, and it'll either go through or it'll have a random chance of going through. Yeah, it's a mess. There's a lot of different guard speeds, and you would never notice it if you're playing casually, but they all exist.
Yeah, so I don't want to start a knowledge progression video here, but when did people start finding out what punches does more damage? When can you get a random star, stuff like that? Because it's not. Yeah, I certainly would not stumble upon that as a 10-year-old. That's for sure.
There's a bunch of old posts out there on the internet from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Most of them are deleted because they were on GameFAQs, and GameFAQs like wiped their, I don't know, database like a couple decades ago, 15 years ago. But basically there's just this group of gamers that kind of worked with each other to figure a bunch of this stuff out, and it kind of just happened over time. And I guess the biggest guy was Matt Turk. He was the big Punch-Out guy.
Oh, yeah.
He had all the records for a while. But there was a bunch of other guys that figured out a ton of strategies. Like nobody even knew that you could beat. Yeah, D-Tysonator. He was the guy who got the first round 1 Tyson on NTSC. They didn't even know that you could beat Sandman in round 1 until like the early 2000s. I don't remember who it was that figured it out, but yeah.
I mean, It's one of my favorite games from childhood, but it's a tough game, and I don't see myself getting into the speedrun at this point. But it has so many cool things, and it has such a legacy. Partly because of the Mike Tyson controversy type thing, and then there's I feel like every year there's a new look at this audience member lowering his glasses or blinking at you. Or
Yeah, okay, so the audience member lowering their glasses or something, those were all found at the same exact time, like 10 years ago. People might have known about them before, but there was like a big wave of articles 10 years ago that pointed them all out. And I think like 2 or 3 years ago, everyone just forgot about it, and
oh yeah, right.
discovered them at the same time, and then it blew up again on the internet.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
that's it.
this new Easter egg was discovered in Punch-Out, and it's like all the speedrunners, everybody already knew about it. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This was common knowledge on the internet. So
No, I feel like there's a video every once in a recently discovered Easter egg in Mike Tysons Punch-out.
Yep. Clickbait.
Yeah, it's all like that stuff.
Pretty much. But it is peculiar how much small programming went into this game. Like
I could literally write an encyclopedia or book or something about it, but nobody would read it 'cause it's boring stuff.
Joe would read it.
I would, yeah.
I would probably read it too. I love that super deep geek stuff. The things you can never possibly use in any other context.
Yeah.
From one particular retro game. That's where I am at.
Mario 64 is like that too. I don't know how much you guys know about that, but there's like so much crazy stuff. Panin posting all these videos. You could literally write a textbook about that game and how it works.
I mean, I have some knowledge. There's one guy who was pretty prevalent in the MK64 scene who was also a Super Mario 64 speedrunner, and is also a bit of a whack job.
Shoutouts to the Antelope of Death.
Yes.
The legend that is Miles. I mean, if we're talking about Miles, go ahead and talk about this stuff first.
Yeah.
We have to talk about his latest video as well, which is one of the greatest things
I saw that, the basketball one, right?
Yeah. Oh, what on earth is going on? I'm 34 years old. Love that video. I watched it like 3 times in a row.
No.
I don't know how more people aren't like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to watch it after this again.
Okay, so that's going to be in the video description of this show, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, he was very explorative in the games he played. So he found a lot of stuff in Mario Kart 64, and he was also sort of a pioneer in Super Mario 64 back in the day. So I know some stuff, but I may have been misled. Put it like that. I just know it's deep, but I feel like SMK is more of a comparison to Mike Tysons Punch-out, because SMK is just riddled with programming what the fucks.
Can I just go off on a slight tangent here about Miles again? If something just pops into my head. Many years ago, I used to talk to Miles lots on MSN, like sort of, I don't know, over 10 years ago. And for whatever reason, we used to add him to group chats a lot of the time. And my friend Alan, his sister, used to be in these chats a lot of the time as well. And so my friend's sister, who at the time must have been about, I don't know, 17, and Miles formed this sort of weird friendship. And he was very close to flying over here to meet her, but it didn't quite happen for whatever reason. I think she got scared in the end. But yeah, it was just an odd little random story which happened. Yeah,
Slightly
been
creepy.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean,
A little bit.
Yeah, we a little bit creepy. Yeah, but,
Well, he was very active on MSN actually. Talked to him quite a bit, but he would go off on these rambles, like. Quite often he would tell me how many times he ran around his house and moved the wheelbarrow from one position to another, and then raked some leaves and then played basketball. And I'm like, sure, that's cool.
He did. Yeah, he had these weird sort of OCD ways of doing things, didn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I guess it kind of makes sense that he's a speedrunner then, because that's kind of par for the course for our personality traits.
Yeah. Anyway, back to SMK, what you were talking about. Sorry for going off on a tangent.
Oh, right. Well, regarding the 3 questions I didn't ask when we started this talk, I know at one point during your stream, Salt, I don't know if it was me or was someone else chimed in with, I guess people ask you all the time, can you do a world record progression on this or that game? I think someone in chat were asking about SMK, and you said there's not really much to be had in SMK. And then I had to say something that you should probably ask Joe to get a more, in-depth answer than random guy in stream chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe and I we talked about some potential Super Mario Kart action, and I won't say too much about it, but
sure.
I can tell you guys about it later. But there's some potential, definitely.
Yeah, it's. Video. I would agree that it's a kind of interesting topic to bring up, because I do happen to agree with Summoning Salt a lot on how tricky it would be, because it's not exactly like a world record progression type of a video. It'd be something a little bit more nuanced than that, and to find something that's like super interesting that people would like retain or hold information or attention, it's more difficult than one might suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but still, for me here, being a massive fan of Super Mario Kart and a big fan of Summoning Salt, that's really getting me quite hyped, should I say?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, when you compare it to like Choco Mountain, which is my most recent Mario Kart 64 video, like Choco Mountain's a course that just got broken more and more over time, and it's very visual. The viewer can kind of see it all happening, and there's a big story behind it. And I don't know if there's anything quite like that in Super Mario Kart. I know that like there was like the strategies changed. You went from boosting to shaving off parts of the controller, and like there's definitely stuff there to talk about. Just putting it in a video would be not impossible, but it would be something I would need to work at, I think, for a while.
No, I agree. I don't think there's a clear-cut case for SMK in that sense.
I think the controller modification aspect, right? Just the fact that we have to modify our controllers just to be able to play the game at a high level, I think by itself is a pretty interesting thing, but you really can't make a video about that. Like, it's just a 30-second once over.
Exactly.
We did this,
If I ever mention that in a video, the YouTube comment section is going to get very angry.
No doubt.
The thing is, like, the reason it is allowed on the website is because old controllers, as in worn down, or third-party controllers, sometimes have this effect anyway.
Yeah, I made a video about that about 2 years ago. There's a specific brand of controllers called High Frequency that you can buy on eBay for like $5. They're super cheap. They're crappy controllers, but if you just take the D-pad out and put it into a licensed controller, it's a Pro MBT controller just out of the box. So you don't have to do any modifications. However, it's a modification in itself because you're not using a specifically licensed by Nintendo controller.
But you can still...
How about those... Sorry, Marius. How about those SN Pro pads? I thought those were out like sort of Pro MBT without any...
They are, but they're also they're giant pieces of shit. And so it's basically a 50-50 gamble if it's going to work or not. So yeah,
that's not the road you want to go down.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're talking about progression in SMK, I would probably do a world record progression because at times have gone down, but it's nothing staggering. Like, you pick Choco Mountain, which is it's so easy to see the time go down, even for someone who's never touched the game. So it goes from minute and a half, and then half a minute, and then suddenly, it's half a minute now, right?
Well, I think the thing is, in SMK, we never really sort of put any value into skips, did we?
No.
I think it's always just a token thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Skips are complete garbage. It's just bump into the wall, trigger a lap, bump into the wall again. So there's no driving. But the evolution of driving is interesting in SMK. So if you watch the pure racing, and I would definitely pick Michael Jongerius's MC3.
Oh, absolutely.
5.
Yes.
That is SMK porn, as coined by everyone ever. So that's pretty much the peak of pure driving, no extra technique. And then you have all these techniques, plural, definitely plural.
Mm-hmm.
So you can slide across snow and water in a specific way that prohibits speed loss. And you can boost across anything for some amount of time, depending on polar NTSC. It's different, of course. And then you have stuff later on, which is like you can jump into a wall and regain and keep some speed. You can jump into pipes to extend your boost, which is something that basically only pretty recent. Scout B is the master of that.
Yeah.
Saying that, I remember I asked, like, when I first started playing SMK and joined the forums and stuff. It was sort of weird, like this before I knew how to boost, but it always stuck in my head how that if you hopped off of a pipe, you didn't lose speed for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny how it's only sort of a recent thing that we've decided to actually jump into a pipe with a boost and for it to carry on.
Well, I think it was because we thought that if you hit the pipe, it would cause you to lose like off the bat like a point like 0.05 whatever, just because you have like a momentary loss of speed.
Yeah, you stop, right? Yeah.
So I think we just kind of like dismissed it because we didn't know that we can exploit it.
No, the recent discovery is not the pipe then boost itself. It's the making it save time.
Yeah.
On MC3, right? Yeah.
And then
also, I think there's that fella. Remember Mikhail Smolin when he did that KB2 strat? Was it him or was it Christian Wild? Who am I thinking of? I'm getting it confused. Anyway, like he was quite new to the game, wasn't he? He was just like, "Oh, hey, am I doing this correctly?" And then everyone was just like, "Oh, hang on, this is a much quicker way of doing it. Why have we never thought about that?" I always found that quite funny. That I'm just like sort of a noob at the game, just discovered a time-saving strat. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Which strat was that?
It was the weed cut strat on Cooper Beach 2, I believe.
Oh yes, that is certainly into the field I was talking about, because that's just a programming error. That some things that's supposed to be off-road are not properly programmed, so you can, if you have pretty
the visuals
high
don't
precision.
match, right? Like the grass itself, like it looks spotty, but it's really not. Like there's a clear path you can use.
Yeah.
So almost every corner in the game has some sort of mistaken identity, so you can actually drive without losing speed. It's not been properly explored actually because it's so shit.
Yeah.
But Donut Plains, last corner MC1, the Cooper Beach 2 certainly. Yeah, well, I think I've rambled enough now about SMK's programming issues, but there is something of interest there, but it is not a world record progression video in the making.
No, it'd be something else, wouldn't it? Yeah. Not in the traditional sense of sorts videos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to doing videos that aren't like just world record progression. Like I don't want to just be making world record progression videos. Anything about like the history of speedrunning, definitely down to explore. So.
That's cool.
On a personal aspect, I think your 4-2 video is unbelievable, and I like those like specific. Let's get into like the details of why this is a thing.
Sure.
So
that was
I would be more interested.
First video I watched. Yeah,
that
was a great video. Yeah, really enjoyed that one.
But I think they tend to work out better when there's like a story and almost like a narrative about how something was discovered, and you can break down the technicalities of it while still, making sure that it's a story and that there's like different stuff kept happening and then how it evolved, and it's more specifically focused on one aspect of a story than necessarily just the whole game and talking about how the record changed. I think generally those work out better.
And like in that regard, like I think SMK is a little difficult because we don't really have a 4-2 type of narrative. But
I mean, we'll see. Like I don't know. I haven't explored it that much yet, so we could probably work something out.
Well, you got 3 people here that can probably help you out if you need any additional information.
There are certainly interesting bits and pieces. Like it's not recent anymore, but it feels that way because I'm fucking old. But the discovery of the infinite boost on Mario Circuit 2.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is interesting, and the wall jump on CI1 and the extended wall ride, so quite recent.
Mm-hmm. All of which have been banned from our website. So
but
so we don't use them.
Yeah, that's a bit shit. The ban part.
Yeah.
But there just keeps on popping up new stuff, if it's time trial or if it is the single segment category, which is, becoming more popular in a sense.
Slightly. I'd still say that the time trial site is pretty much our bread and butter, but
sure.
But the arbitrary rules, I will say, are a little weird for us.
Yeah, they are.
That's Sami for you, anyway.
Do any of you guys do single segment, or do you all just do time trials?
Carol, who's not on the show right now, is he plays the full game, full cups, or all cups run, which I guess would be our single segment. But
he's actually playing it right now.
Oh, is he?
Against the Fungi.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically it's not really a thing that we focus a lot of attention on.
Everyone will do it like once, it feels like. Because it's good practice for the World Championships when you have to.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, yeah. Like, SMK for me, it used to be time trials, and it's now just all about playing multiplayer for me. That's the only time I really derive lots of enjoyment out at the game anymore. CDM, of course.
CDM for the non-French is the World Championship of SMK. It's just
Championnat du Monde. But it means World Championships, but it doesn't, because you can't legally say that because Nintendo's a weird company.
Right. Anyway, regarding the topic Clark touched upon, the 4-2, while not a world record progression, it is the evolution of speedrunning technique, which is the part I find interesting. The fact that the time goes down in a specific game is sort of, that's because it's pushed or it's developed. But the techniques that make the time go down, that's the interesting part. So if you make only videos about the techniques, I would watch them just as much, probably more, because I want that deep geek stuff, really.
And it's funny, I was talking, after I made that video, I was trying to talk with people, trying to figure out what other levels would be good to do like that, where it's not just talking about the times, but talking about like a level that played a really pivotal point in the speed run, and how people changed the way they did it, and it led to like a roadblock in the run, and how people found a way around it, and stuff like that. And nobody has been able to give me like an example of another level or stage that was like a big roadblock that the strategy kept changing. And I don't know if I'm just like asking the wrong people or if there's really just nothing else like it, but they're pretty hard to come by, stuff like 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting question. I don't get anything on the top of my head that would be equivalent, for sure. It is a rather special place because the strats have changed so many times, and it is sort of a finicky type wrong warp deal, right?
Yeah, it's a wrong warp, and it's the thing is that we've known about the wrong warp now for like more than 10 years, but the way we do the wrong warp is what's been changing this decade.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, single level is sort of weird, but I guess if any game got pushed as hard and had as many programming leniencies, it could happen. Or there could already be one, but I don't have that knowledge for sure right now.
Yeah. It's hard to come up with them.
Yeah.
I feel like Super Mario 64 is sort of similar, but it's not a single level. It's more the way you approach how to get to the end of the game, which changed from 70 to 16, and then I think it was 15 for a little while, and then it went star and then 0 stars.
Yeah, so I had the video about the Mario 64 any percent, and let's see, it was like 70, and then like 50 at one point they had.
50, okay.
And 31, I want to say. But anyway, yeah, there's the whole story behind it, and then videos like that I think work really well too when it's more than just the times and you're focusing more on strategies and stuff.
I think one of my favorite things in all of speedrunning is still the fact that the 16-star glitch, whatever, in the MIPS, is it? What's it called? The bunny?
Yeah, the MIPS clip.
When you do that, for some reason, the 70-star door opens for you. Like, you get the error message, you need 70 stars to pass through this door, sorry mate, and then it just opens.
It still opens for you, yeah. Well, they did program it that it would open for you, because their idea was you would see the staircase and you try to go up it, but it would just loop over and over the endless staircase. So they did do it like that on purpose, but it's convenient that they did program it like that, or else it wouldn't be possible, probably.
My idea was that it checks if you have between 50 or 69, it won't open. If it's anything else, it will open. Because you need a certain amount of stars to get into that area, right?
Yeah. I don't know exactly. I'm not like a big Mario 64 expert, but I think they had it. I don't know why they would. Because like the idea was that it's the endless staircase, it would loop no matter how many stars you had unless you had 70. So they wanted you to see it.
Oh yeah, that's how that works, right? Well, it's just a glorious moment when that door opens. When I saw it the first time.
Oh, I still haven't seen it.
Well,
I never played that game.
Oh yeah, you remember the question at the start, Salt? I think one of the question was what's the one game you haven't played?
Yeah.
And
The one game I haven't played.
Yeah, well, for Clark it was every game ever.
Oh yeah, there's so many games I haven't played. I've never even played Pokemon, and I made a video about Pokemon. So there's a ton of stuff I haven't. I've never played a Zelda game in my life.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not far away from that. I've only ever played the SNES one, Link to the Past. I've never played like Ocarina of Time.
I've only played Ocarina of Time. That's the only one I've ever played.
Yeah.
What kind of people am I surrounded by? What happened?
The best thing is people keep asking me to do more Zelda videos. Like, when are you gonna do Ocarina of Time? When are you gonna do Majora's Mask, Link to the Past? Like, I've never played them. I don't think I'd be able to do a really good job unless I've really experienced them. So I need to play them first.
Well, you've made videos.
I don't like doing that.
You've made videos where you haven't played the game before. Obviously, you just said you did it for Pokemon. So it's not like you can. The research aspect, I think, has always been solid. So it's not like you have to have like a personal background in the game to do it.
People give me crap for doing, like, for not being a part of the community, or like not like the Pokemon video. People were like, "Oh, why didn't he talk about this? He should have mentioned that. He hasn't played the game. He doesn't." Like, I was in a server with like 8 other Pokemon runners, and we were just researching back and forth, trying to figure everything out, even though I hadn't played it before. And I don't know what else. Like, I could have played the game, and I should have played the game, and now I always do play the game before I make the video. But even then, like, I don't know what I could have really done to prevent it, because I had them look at the script, I had them look at the video before I uploaded it. Like,
some people are just never happy. That's the thing, isn't it? Some people always think,
I can't imagine YouTube being very sensitive about these kind of things. You know, usually they're a more accepting and welcoming community. Those commenters.
That's the thing, though. People in the comments are usually really happy. It's just the people in the community for the game. Some of them are just like. They want it to be like an exact certain way, and I just can't. Like, all I could do is just ask people for knowledge.
Well, you did everything on your end that you could possibly have done, aside from being a well-established and multi-year running person of the community. So you've done everything else, but they're still not happy with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, some people are always going to be that way. I can think of one or two in our own community, I think.
No.
If an SMK one was to be done, who would get a little finicky about every little.
I think one of them runs a site.
Well, maybe.
But I think you said, Salt, that the most work you had to do on any of your videos was the Pokemon one.
Let me
like
think.
The research.
It probably was Pokemon, yeah, because that video is also like 33 minutes long, so it's a very long one compared to most of the other ones, and hadn't played it before, had to gain all the knowledge. There were a ton of records for that game too, so I had to research like every single one. Yeah, that's probably the That was probably the one that I had to do the most work for.
It's the one video I haven't watched, purely not because it's like long, but it's because it's Pokemon, and I have absolutely zero interest in Pokemon.
Right. I mean, if I didn't make it, I probably wouldn't have watched it either, honestly. So, but yeah, for now, for the most, like the games I've done in 2018, I've tried a lot harder to research them more, and I work a lot harder to make sure everything that I'm putting in the video is accurate. Like some of the early ones in 2017, like I did not do anywhere near as much research as I needed to. So lately I've just been like going all in, and that's why basically every video that I upload now is like half an hour long. It's because I'm trying to just go as in-depth as I can with the research and make sure everything's right.
They're really entertaining. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a running joke in our first, I don't know, Joe, do you remember? 6th episode?
How many episodes have we done? Because
the
number is probably exactly the same.
Yeah, this is the 11th episode in a sense, plus the shortcuts.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned salt at least once in every episode.
Yeah.
It's just the running theme, isn't it?
Well, because you're doing God's work. Like you're going in depth with games, and you're shedding some light onto some communities that normally wouldn't. So it's always been a prominent feature to bring you up and say, yeah, did you see the Salt video? Of course we did, because we're big nerds. So
yeah.
I'm honestly just surprised that nobody on YouTube had done this before, because like it seemed like such a natural, like, if you're going to make any sort of speedrunning content on YouTube that you need to research a lot for, this is like the most natural thing to do. Like talk about the history, because it's all out there and it's sometimes hard to find, but it exists, and there's usually a really good story behind most games. So
yeah, it's like sort of whenever I ask Sami, because I enjoy the history of SMK, you know, and sort of because it's ancient history now. So like sort of MBT was discovered in 2004 or something. It was like 14 years ago now. It's a long time, and I sort of always say, why do you not have a past champions page on there? Mm-hmm. Just to say, like, if anyone sort of to have a cursory look at it, to say that, oh no, this guy was champion in 2003 or whatever. And like for me, who's an established member and has been for a long time, and I want to see it. And he just remains staunchly like, oh, there's no need. So, but I think that's why I enjoy Salt's video so much, because it is sort of the history of a particular game or a particular speedrun or something.
It keeps it alive too, because like you're saying, like people just wouldn't know about a lot of these old records, because it's like, well, they've been demolished, like who cares about them now? But like they were a big deal at the time, and people cared about them then, and people should at least know about them now. So
I think this is like I may be wrong here, but for me, this is like the first wave of nostalgia with speedrunning, because I know I am old enough to have been kind of at the start of speedrunning. Let me say 2000, 2002, 3, 4, 5 is sort of where SDA became the all-enveloping speedrunning community for a while. And now, like when I watched your Super Metroid video, I'm like, shit, I remember Smokey's 38, was it?
Yeah.
And Red Scarlet, I remember, had a 55. May have had another, but that was a defining moment in my eyes. Just seeing that was like, shit, the world has something to offer that I did not know about. And now the people who did the runs or watched the runs back in mid-2000s, late 2000s even, they are certainly ready to see the history again, but also the new crew, I watched this GDQ and now I'm curious. That sort of crew also likes the history, I feel like. So this is just the perfect moment, maybe. So it's a bit strange it took this long, but you see, Salt is not the only kid in town anymore doing this, but that's sort of the start.
I think it's worth shouting out the people who did the world record histories for all the Mario Kart games we have. Yeah, wonderful website. I find myself just sort of idly looking at that for hours sometimes, just like, oh, which record was this? Which record was this?
It's MKWRs, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Brilliant website.
It is, and I use them a lot. I probably should give them more credit in my videos, because I've used them so much, and it's so valuable. Like, I think I put a link to the website in the description of the videos, but If I ever do another Mario Kart one, which I probably will, I'm probably just gonna like mention them at the end of the video or something, if I remember to.
Oh, there's a lot of work gone into that.
This reminds me, I still need to send you those videos, because I dug out my old laptop recently, and I just found a bunch of old SMK videos, some of which are sort of would be the oldest sort of world record video for a particular course.
I don't know why I sent you those videos and I didn't give them to anybody else. Like
we were tight back then, Joe. We were tight. We just we talked for hours.
I think I gave you my Koopa Beach 1 record, and I didn't give it to anybody else. Like, we weren't secretive by any means. We didn't have like an outlet for it, I guess, at the time.
It was like pre-YouTube, wasn't it?
It was definitely pre-YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Which kind of dates us.
Yeah. I have an entire hard drive with Michael Jongerius world records that he filmed with a baked potato and never uploaded.
Damn, we need to get on that. We are historians.
Well, yeah,
sort of. Very, very loose sense of the term.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Okay, so I think Joe just told me about this recently, or not told me about it, but made me aware, and we'll just cut this if it's inappropriate.
I think I know where this is going, but we'll see.
Oh, I would be surprised. Okay. So, Salt, my understanding is that your identity is not known.
I mean, I don't think it is.
Right. I have news for you. No, I'm kidding. Are you familiar with disguised toast?
Disguised toast? I don't think so.
So it's a play on words from a card in Hearthstone, and the card says, "This guy is toast."
Okay.
But it says it in a slurred voice. So this one player calls himself Disguised Toast, and he did the whole hidden identity thing for about 2 years. He made some great videos. And then he started streaming, but he would cover his face with a giant piece of toast.
Oh, I remember. Okay, I remember this. And then he accidentally leaked it one day. And then
yeah, sort of.
This.
Yeah, sort of leaked. People started figuring it out, and then he sort of took the offensive and was gonna do the whole reveal stream. The thing is, yeah, people were curious when he was not known, but when he did the reveal stream, he just got super popular after that, which is a bit weird, but now he's like one of the most popular Hearthstone streamers. Fucking hate that word. It's almost like arthritis or something. But you never made a big deal out of it, have you?
No, I don't know, man. I don't care that much about getting big on the internet. Like, it's fun, but it's not something I really want to do the rest of my life. And right. I'm kind of just enjoying it while it lasts. And if my YouTube channel just dies and I don't make any more videos, it's okay. Like, I'm not relying on it or anything. It's pretty fun, but I don't know. I don't know how to articulate it exactly.
No, I like that answer. I think probably this cannot go on. I mean, there's a lot of people super popular on YouTube, and it's sort of it works for a while type of deal, but you have to plan for the future, right? So I hope for your sake you have other things happening in your life that will back you up.
Yeah, I'm never gonna do this full time, and I never have. It's just a little side. I mean, I don't know if I just call it a hobby because I do get some income from it, but I don't know. I'm not. This is not my career or anything. It's just fun.
I think that's a good perspective on it. So, can I ask how much time do you spend? Do you know? By that I mean creating content.
It really depends. Like for a few months ago, I was going hard at it. I was doing, well, okay, maybe not going that hard at it, but I was doing at least, I don't know, 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week at it, kind of almost like a part-time job sort of deal. Just whenever I had free time, I was working on it. And now I'm doing like 5 hours a week on it. I just don't have the time right now or the interest really. I'm just kind of trying to work on it whenever I can, and I'm not even streaming on Twitch right now. I'm just doing YouTube when I have the time. Other than that, I'm just doing other stuff. So
it's not because the process is more streamlined. It's just because you don't push that hard.
My interest with it kind of goes up and down.
Right.
Like, if that makes sense. And I sometimes
sure,
just feel like prioritizing other stuff. When I first started, I did like 6 videos in 2 months. I don't know how on earth I did that, but I was putting basically all my time into YouTube. Like, it was crazy. And then I kind of slowed down, didn't do any videos for like a month and a half. Then I picked it up again, and then for a while I was just doing like a video a month, and now it's slowing down again. So I don't know. It goes up and down.
Well, hopefully you'll keep it up for a while, huh?
I hope so. Yeah. It's
you haven't done everyone's favorite games yet.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I was gonna just quickly mention that when we're talking about what lends itself to the progression thing, I feel like I feel like games or speedrunning in general, what lends itself to speedrunning is, to me, where movement is important. So it's a bit different from like Mike Tyson, because it's a genre of its own, right? It's sort of a rhythm game, but also a bit more in depth.
The Punch-out's strange. People, well, okay, speaking of Cosmic, we were just talking about him earlier, set the Mario record. He did not want to play Punch-out. Like, I was on his stream trying to get him to play it sometimes because he never had, and he said he thought he wouldn't like it because he likes games where you can move around. And basically, I got him to play it, and now he has a round 1 Tyson fight, and he says it's like a really fun game, and he really likes it. So it's unorthodox. It's not a game where you're moving around in like a strict sense, but you're not like confined to this little space and you can't move and you're just punching. It's hard to explain. It's I don't even know what genre it is exactly. It's fun. It's a fun genre. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's rhythm and it's reaction, and it's, I think, more than anything, tons of knowledge goes into figuring out what to do and how to execute it.
People have called it a puzzle game, and it's not in the traditional sense of puzzle game, but it is because there's a lot that you have to figure out while you're playing it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, sure. Anyway, what I was saying was the games with a lot of movement and evolution of movement, if you want. Like Super Mario Odyssey is one example. Movement is like crazy. And it's just fun to watch. And my favorite speedrun game of all time to watch is probably Super Metroid. Just because of the amount of tricks that makes you move faster. This is probably why I like Super Mario Kart as well. All the small nuances that go into pushing the times. But I'm really missing like a world record progression video on, or any evolution video on Symphony of the Night, which is, to me, sort of the bastard sister of Super Metroid in a way. I mean, they're called Metroidvania for a reason.
What is that game?
Symphony of the Night is a PlayStation 1 Castlevania game.
Oh, right, okay.
But it is non-linear in the same way that Super Metroid is, which is another game Clark has never played.
There's many.
Shots fired.
Right.
Plays like Aladdin on the SNES. It's a good game.
It's very solid Disney, but it's fun, but it's not great, huh? So how do you feel about that, Salt? Are games with a lot of movement availability, like Super Mario 64 you've done, and Super Metroid you've done, and the Half-Life and Portal also have that sort of room for exploration and movement maximization?
Yeah, I mean, I guess movement helps a lot for speedrun. It's not necessarily the only thing that makes it good. Like, I don't think the movement Punch-out, like, anyway, but you get my point. But yeah, it helps, and it's not really how I pick the game I'm gonna do. But I would agree with you that movement does help a speedrun, and that maybe it makes for a better speedrun even, I don't know. But I like what I've been doing lately for picking a speedrun is I don't like picking a game to cover for videos. I'm not, as my interest kind of dwindles in it, I tend to pick games that I'm more familiar with just so that I can do less work and it'll be better in the long run because I know about it more. Which I guess is kind of the case with the game I'm doing now, but you know. But that, like, before I was doing like Sonic Adventure 2, I did Pokemon, I did Metroid for the NES, which I sort of had played just enough to like get the gist of it, but not beaten or anything. And yeah, whenever I'm focused more on making videos and I'm really going hard at it, that's when I do the stuff that I've never played before, or the stuff that I know people really want, even though I don't have an interest in it. But like for right now, I'm kind of just hanging low, doing stuff I know, having more fun with it, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach as well. I mean, if I understand you correctly from your other, you don't play that many games, do you?
I really don't. I used to before I was speedrunning, and then speedrunning, it's kind of taken my interest to. I play a few games a lot, and
Yeah.
other than that, I really don't do that much. Like I'm not like a hardcore gamer or anything. Definitely not. But I mean, lately I haven't really even been playing anything. But yeah, like I said before, like Zelda, I've never played. I have played Super Metroid, so there's that. But I don't think I've beaten it.
Oh,
But yeah, a lot of big speedruns I've just never played before, and it kind of intimidates me from doing them right now because I would have to put in so much work.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, sure. So eventually, it sounds like you're gonna run out of steam.
I mean, I guess, but this is the cool thing though, is that I can always just loop back to the ones I've already done and update them because
Yeah.
I was not as good at video editing or making videos like 2 years ago than I am right now, and the records have changed a lot since then, so I could just like redo some of them from scratch, and it would probably work out pretty well.
Let me point out something here. So Goose does a lot of like speed lore. Do you know his work?
Yeah, I've seen some of them.
So he will, on occasion, do videos that are like, "What will be the next Untied in GoldenEye?" And what happens is he will just take mythical runs that sort of almost broke the world record, or task strategies that makes it possible to break the world record, stuff like that, throw them together in a bowl, and then say, yes, this record could be beaten, but nobody's done it. And that entices people to play, so much so that they do get broken sometimes, not obviously. But your videos do have an impact, so just you're doing a video on something may actually, in the future, make it so that you have to make an updated video because of your first one, if you get my drift there.
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned before about that Rainbow Road thing in Mario Kart Wii that I thought would lead to the record being broken.
Oh, yeah.
But that video has 4 million views and nobody's done it yet. And I think people have been trying a bit, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it really has as much of an effect as people think. Maybe for some games it does, but for some, I don't know.
Well, it depends on if you're enticing the people who don't play the game usually. Like, if your 4-2 video would inspire me to play Super Mario Bros. 1, that would lead to absolutely nothing at all.
That's the thing though. I know, even though I don't know if it's leading directly to new records, I know for a fact that it is leading to a lot more people speedrunning and getting involved with, or even if they're not speedrunning, just being interested in speedruns when they would have never
Sure.
had an interest in before. And I guess that is the one thing I'm most proud about, is that there's people who just did not know speedrunning existed that now know about it and are into it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That is something you should be proud of, and that's probably the best part of all these. I don't know how to generalize, but all the speedrun related videos on YouTube, like the salts, the goose or geese in plural, like, and the easy escape and Apollo Legend used to do stuff like this. It just puts the eye on speedrunning in a way that hadn't before. Like, the GDQs certainly do a part of the job, but this sort of caters to sort of the same audience and further cements the point, and it does keep on growing. And the recent attempts at making speedrunning into esports have been interesting, but ultimately failed so far. Maybe we should take a couple of minutes to talk about
Yeah.
that. How do you feel about that, and how up to date are you?
So I'm trying to think which one it was where I talked about this. Like, I'm cool with talking about it again, of course. I'm trying to compare what I said about it then with what I'm saying now, because I was on somebody's podcast like
Yeah,
a half year ago, and we talked about esports and speedrunning, and
I think it was my insane pace.
okay, yeah. Back then, it seemed like it was really going to become like a thing because there were all these groups like doing it, and people were getting excited about it, are going to get paid, going to be big tournaments. And what I've seen so far is a ton of tournaments with like a little payout, but no real centralized like this is the big esports speedrunning thing. So I think unless it gets really centralized, it's not going to grow that much. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if I necessarily want esports and speedrunning to be a thing. Like I think tournaments where they're for money are cool, and I don't dislike them. It's just I don't like speedrunning and esports are definitely different, and I don't know if it would really benefit that much if they got that intertwined.
No, it's hard to say. I really enjoy watching a good speedrun race. When it's good, it is brilliant. Usually, it's not going to be close at all, though. Most of the time.
It's hard to engineer that as well, isn't it? I think it's hard to engineer.
Yeah, but there have
race
been
race.
some really close ones through the years. Like the
for
Super
sure,
Metroid
yeah.
one is famous. That was Sinister One was commentating that one, I believe.
There was the Mario Kart one at AGDQ,
Yeah,
right?
double dash, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was gonna say Super Mario Kart with
Yeah,
Carol and
Mario
Neo.
Kart.
The legendary finish.
Oh yeah.
And Carol's not here to talk about it. Okay. Okay, so Speedrunners League was a thing, and I think this was starting up when you did the My Insane Pace podcast. So that was starting up with a guy called Jeffrey or something. He just threw money at people and had them race.
Yeah.
Jerry?
I worked with him once before too. I commentated for one of his I think Mario 1 tournament races, and yeah, I don't know how much I want to say about him, but
Okay.
I didn't get paid for it. I didn't like he offered to pay me, and I was like, it's okay. I just commentated for like a little bit. You don't need to worry about it. And he was cool about it. Very nice guy, but it's very suspicious how he just like completely threw in the towel now and is like,
Yeah.
bye, without
Yeah,
really.
he's gone.
But then apparently he like posted something on Twitter a few days ago saying he's coming back, and like I don't really care at this point, but yeah.
So I think that attempt came and went in a way, the
Yeah.
Speedrunners League. So, but it had the workings of what we would expect to happen eventually.
Yeah, I mean, if something, there was another one.
Yeah, Speedrun.
Cheese was involved with it.
Yeah.
Him and someone else, and it's like getting kind of big. It's just I don't know if it just needs more time to grow or if it's too spread out, or I don't know.
Okay,
It's
so
tough to say.
yeah, that's sort of where I always end up in discussions like these. The whole saturation problem with speedrunning and gaming in general and Twitch. I mean, there's just too much stuff, and getting the numbers is hard. And how do you grow stuff if there's no money coming into it from views?
I think that's part of the reason why Siglimic would get like 10,000 viewers back when speedrunning was a lot smaller. It's because that was where you would go to watch speedrunning. You'd go to Siglimic, and now there's like hundreds of places you can go to. So
yeah, the saturation problem is real, and I don't know how you overcome that at this point. The GDQs have stopped growing as well, from what I hear.
I don't know if they might be slowing down. I think there's like GDQ is still doing pretty well. It's just
Yes, absolutely, but they're not getting more viewers.
Yeah, their viewer count is definitely leveling off. I think the donations are technically going up, but yeah, they're like not getting as many viewers, I don't think.
Right. And personally, I'm a big speedrun watcher, but I'm sort of done with watching the GDQs.
It's funny. I don't think I watched a single run from the last GDQ, and I used like back in like 2014, which is kind of when I started to really get into speedrunning. Like I watched like as much of AGDQ and SGDQ as I could when they were on.
Oh yeah.
And it just kind of fell off over time, and now it's just unless there's a run I particularly want to watch, I don't really even have the stream open ever.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would like take time off of work to binge watch the GDQs in 2011 to 2012. We even did our own, the NLG crew. We did a marathon in 2012. During that time, I was just no-lifing the couch potato speedrun watcher lifestyle. I was working full time, but everything else was just watching speedruns, and it seems crazy to me now, and it does seem to most other people too, that it's sort of weaning off a bit.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to say exactly, but there's just so many different options you have now, and it's less exciting, I guess, that GDQ keeps happening every 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah. So, sort of because of the hidden identity thing, you've never been to a GDQ?
Well, that's part of the reason. Man, it's part of it is just like I would have to take, a bunch of time out to go to it because I don't live near GDQ, the summer one or the winter one, and they always hold them at weird times of the year. Like they hold it right like the week after New Year's AGDQ, which is like a terrible time for me to travel.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, there's a kind of a bunch of reasons I haven't been to one yet. I'm hoping to eventually make it out to one. I'm just not sure when.
So would you do sort of an anonymous thing? You wouldn't apply for a game or something then?
I mean, I would probably just show up and tell people who I am at that point. Like I don't know what way around it you'd really have.
Well, you can make up a super cool fake persona.
Yeah.
They get his voice immediately, though.
Oh, that's
as
right.
soon as he says hello, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, you're summoning stuff."
Did you actually submit for a recent GDQ for a Punch-out run?
I submitted for GDQX and with Zallard 1, and we were gonna race Punch-out, and it turns out I'm genuinely going to be busy that weekend, and I can't go. So I withdrew my submission, and Zallard's Punch-out run ended up getting in. So we probably would have had a race, or at least my run would have gotten in if I didn't have to retract. So, yeah.
Did you also do another submission where you wanted to have like a person from the crowd? Like take the controller?
SGDQ 2018. So I had an idea for a run of Punch-out, and basically, I would take either a random person from the crowd who had never played Punch-out before, or I would get, I don't know, some sort of raffle system where I'd get another big-time speedrunner who had never played Punch-out before, like Cheese or, I don't know, Darbian's probably played it, but one of those big guys that everyone knows, and we would sit down in front of the TV, I would take the D-pad of the controller, they would take A and B, and I would essentially coach us through the game, and I would be like punch, and they'd do it, and I would take care of the dodging, and we'd just get as far into the game as we could. And usually when I did that with friends who had never played before, we'd be able to beat the game, like just barely. It would be really close, and it would be a big struggle, but we eventually beat it. And I thought that would be a really exciting and entertaining GDQ run, but they said no. So
I really can't believe that they would say no to something like that. That seems pretty interesting because I'm familiar with their process of saying, well, what kind of gimmick can you do for a run? And I thought that was pretty acceptable. I'm surprised that they would actually decline it.
They probably just thought it was like a big risk or something, and they're not huge risk takers, I don't think.
Right.
No, they're very conservative in that regard.
All right, I'm almost through everything I want to touch upon, I think.
I would like to mention one thing.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
So, Salt, I'm very familiar with your stream. Can you confirm for the Carthritis crowd, albeit very small as it is, do you record on VHS tape?
Indeed I do. There's a VCR built into my TV, and I just stick a blank tape in and record over it.
That is fantastic, because I mentioned it to Sargoth, and I know that during your streams, whatever, you can hear it rewind, and then you just start recording over the same exact tape.
I'm going to be listening for that when I watch the stream. But after Joe told me this, I feel like I was watching the Cash Dash spoof video, and the TV with the VCR showed up on the video.
Yeah, it's in there. That's the actual TV that I use too.
Wow.
That's such a piece of shit, huh?
It's not though, because I need a way to locally record, and I don't really have like a DVD recorder. And I could use Amarek on my computer, but Amarek does not work with this computer, and it just
Amarek
bricks
is
OBS if I
trash.
ever open it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I have this VCR built into my TV, so it honestly it makes the most sense to just use it because I do want to locally record. So
Hey, I am the proud owner of 2 VCRs.
nice.
Uh,
But do you
so,
use them? You should use them.
well, I tried to find a use for them, but it was too forced and not really useful. But I can't throw them out. Like really, maybe something will come up eventually. Yeah, I'm a bit of a hole.
Yeah. Understandable. I mean, I'm never gonna get rid of this TV unless it completely stops working because it is just so useful for what I do, and I've been using it for ever since I started speedrunning now. So
What is it? Like a 14, 15 inch?
I think it's a 9-inch.
9-inch TV.
No way.
I sit very close to it. But
That's like a cell phone.
it's a little bigger than the cell phone. But
Little
yeah,
more 9 inches?
yeah.
That's so weird. I mean, I'm looking in the corner of my room right now. I have a 13-inch VCR combo CRT. That's just it's used as a shelf right now. It's holding things on top of it. But I have 2 20-inch CRTs. I'm basically stockpile CRTs whenever I can find them on Craigslist. I just kind of pick them up for free. I don't know why, but it's just in hopes of an NTSC Super Mario Kart World Championships. Maybe I can provide all the televisions for that.
Well, they get harder to find over time too.
They
of course.
certainly do, yeah.
Until they start making them again, which they probably never will. Then it's a good
Most
idea
people
to
don't
just
need
stockpile
it.
them.
Nobody has like a need for them besides people like us who speedrun old games. So
It's not entirely true though, because we don't actually need them. There are zero lag monitors available.
yeah,
Are they actually zero lag, or are they just like?
it's
Very
not
little.
noticeable lag. It's not like the
No, I think there are zero lag.
Would you
They're
notice it for
cost
Punch-out though?
effective.
Because
yeah. That's the thing.
anything
I don't know.
Punch-Out.
Yeah, we know Salt and I would probably be able to test it if it's zero lag or not. But
Oh, no,
yeah.
there's an entire community that does this testing for gaming purposes.
Yeah, I know they have like ancillary, not software, hardware. The OSSC I think is the most popular one for reducing lag, but I'm not sure if it's completely eliminated or not. But
Well, it has to be completely eliminated. Otherwise, you have to go the CRT route, right?
yes,
There's
Yeah.
that emulator too that gets rid of input lag. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Oh yeah, the Super NT.
I don't remember if that was the name. It retroactively like updates your inputs. Like it goes back in time to push them forward a couple of frames or back or whatever, and it works. Except if you only push a button for like 2 frames or something, then it doesn't register the input, and it can technically lead to an advantage in certain games if you didn't mean to press the button. So we banned it for Punch-Out, but yeah,
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It's very interesting.
That is interesting. All right, I feel like we should do. I have sort of a list of stupid questions. Should we? Do you want to do like a rapid fire answer the stupid question part?
So yeah, let's do it.
Okay. First off is mine. Why no Super Punch-Out?
Because it's a inferior game to Mike Tysons Punch-Out.
I
Just-
slightly disagree with that, but that's okay.
It doesn't have the same depth.
It doesn't have the same anything. Honestly, I don't. The music's maybe better. Give it that. I don't think it looks as good. It's like visually not attractive.
I think it's more it's a better representation of the original arcade game, but
Right, but the original arcade game was worse than the Mike Tyson one. So.
I think you're a little biased. We'll say that.
Just a bit.
Okay. These questions are bad. So I asked the Carthritis chat for some questions, and they do not know the guest, so they did their worst to be stupid.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to. What's your favorite Seinfeld episode? Is that something you could be able to answer?
I've only seen a few of them, but maybe the one where they're trying to not jack the contest where they're trying to not jack off.
Yeah.
Probably that.
I think that's like unanimously the most famous one.
It's great. It's famous for a reason.
Yeah. If you had to have a face tattoo, what would it be?
Oh God. Skin colored whatever, so that nobody could see it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so like a black light tattoo, you can only see it under ultraviolet.
Yeah, one of those. We'll go with that.
And then it would be Mike Tyson's face.
No, yeah, the same face tattoo that Tyson has. I'll get that, but only visible in the black light.
Oh, right. Neat.
Yeah.
If you could be world champion of any game, what would it be?
Oh boy. Mario 1 would be pretty cool, just because I've already played it a bit, so I kind of know. I know the speedrun, but I don't know. Maybe Mario 64 120 star would be cool, just because it's so impossibly hard, and you need to put like thousands of hours to get to that level. So if I could just skip those to get straight to the top level, that would be cool.
So you're north of casual in SMB1, correct?
Yeah, I have a 458.09.
Oh, that is quite north of casual.
It's significantly more than casual.
Yeah, it was top 20 at one point, and now it's like 27th or something.
I didn't know you were sub 5. That's sort of a big barrier in that game, but the barrier is probably above 5 for when you start incorporating the big 4-2 tricks, right?
Well, it depends on the 4-2. Like, if it's just the wrong warp, you do that whenever you want. It's not that hard, but like the last one in the 4-2 video, 420 Blaze It, you don't do that until you already have like a 456. So.
Oh yeah, that's not the one I mean. But I know people can like casually get 510, maybe 505, and then you have to start doing crazy stuff to get lower than that. Or does the crazy stuff start later?
Well, it depends on the crazy stuff. Like, what like, do you have a trick in mind that you're?
Certainly the bullet bills don't come into play.
So the bullet bill, I actually did that in my most recent PB. Once you're going for 457, you start to use the bullet bill glitch.
Yeah, so that's late. The wrong warp, you probably start before the 5-minute barrier.
Yeah, you could start the wrong. You can't get below like a 505 without the wrong warp, or like 503.
Okay, so what's the improvement between 505 and 5 flat?
Frame rules, probably.
Yeah, there's so many different things you can. It depends, like, if you're talking about when the world record went from a 505 to a 5-minute.
No, for a casual player today.
Everything, like just cleaning up the levels, not maybe doing a few more pipe jumps in 8-1.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. There's so many different.
Oh yeah, maybe the 8-4 pipe jump. Do we start that at that point?
Yeah, the wall jump you start going for. You could do the 2-frame wall jump setup, which is a lot easier and only a tiny bit slower when you're going for like a sub 5.
Oh right. Yeah, so it's pretty fluent, huh? So how you cut time? There's a lot of options.
Yeah, you could do it however you want, but once you start to get below 5 minutes, then it starts to get more linear. Like, okay, now you add in the wall jump, now you add in the bullet bill glitch, now you add in the flagpole glitches, all the way through.
Right. Okay, let me just take 2 random more here. The first game you bought.
Oh boy, I can't even remember the first game I bought. First game I bought to speedrun was Punch-out. I remember ordering that and getting
specifically
it.
For speedrunning.
Yeah, because, well, okay, I guess I originally did speedrun Mario 1 before I even did Punch-out, like 5 years ago. But, yeah, I don't really even know if I remember the first game I bought.
I actually remember saving money for it was a big day. Because Norway, everything is expensive, so Zelda 3 cost me like 8 week allowances to get
Dang, dude. It's worth it, though.
Oh, sure. My favorite game ever. Easy. Okay, last one. The last time you won something. So the definition of one here is up to you.
Yeah. Last time I won something, jeez. In a competition or a sports game? I'm trying to think. I haven't played tennis. I play tennis sometimes, just like casually. And I'm trying to think if I've ever beat anyone at that recently. God, I don't want to be able to not think of anything.
Yeah. Well, this is what Joe goes through every time we start the show.
I'm usually first.
Help me out, Joe. Help me out.
I don't know what you've won.
Give me ideas, man.
YouTube Gold. I don't know, like some sort of subscription thing.
I got the play button like a year ago. So
there you go.
Probably not the most one. But yeah, they give you a silver play button, not actual silver, but like.
Oh right.
You know, once you get 100,000 subscribers, and I'm at like 400,000 now, so it was a while ago that I got it, but it takes a long time to ship. So.
That was quite the sentence.
All right, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's a win. Not everyone gets that casually like that. All right, good job. So before we cut it off, because I think we've taken enough of your time here, is there anything you want to mention yourself, or is there anything you want to cut out from the podcast?
Just cut out the part where I said Super Mario Kart's going to be the next video, because I don't want that to get leaked out early or anything. So.
Okay.
We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Good.
Is there anything you would want to bring up before we let you loose?
I don't know, man. I know you guys probably watching are into Mario Kart, but check out Punch-out speedruns and try to get Joe back into it, because he needs to get back into it for real.
I need to learn the rest of the game.
You do.
I have Glass
like
Joe and I have Don Flamenco and Tyson down. That's it.
Okay.
So I'd have to learn the other 98% of the game.
It's not that bad. If you can do Tyson, everything else is easy.
Yeah,
that was my intent. It was just to grind Tyson, and then after I did that, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done. I beat him so many times. I'm like, this is just boring now.
You got like a 217 though, right? So
218, yeah.
You can do anything with the 218.
That's not half
can
bad.
run the game.
I mean, yeah. It's just I need to learn. Like, it's memorizing the fights at this point, and I watch your stream enough where I can pretty much expect what I would get myself into, and if it's gonna be an RNG heavy thing, then yeah, that's one thing. But my execution's nowhere near where your level is, so there's a whole different learning curve involved for me.
Guard manipulation's like the only thing that you might have to get used to, because you probably haven't done much of that yet.
I did it on Honda 1. But that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It gets tougher.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
It is a cool game, and after watching some of your videos recently, I think especially the Mitch Fowler, is it?
Flower Power, yeah.
Yeah, Flower Power, yeah.
The SMB3 God. After watching that video where you do a rundown of 1512, I was really like, shit, I kind of want to do this game casually now. Like, just knock us up 20 out there to get something going.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't actually have the game, and I'm thinking I probably want the PAL version just to get that 0.03 cut on Glass Joe and be ahead of the world record.
It's a completely different game, actually, the PAL version. You're like, it's like way faster, I think, in the end.
Yeah,
but it's not explored?
Yep, there's this guy Mpap who does a lot of tasks for Punch-out, and he's made tasks for the PAL versions, but I don't remember what they are.
Okay. So it's an actually different game.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the strats are all different and everything. I don't know how it got messed up that much, but it's
funny how that works out, because
Super
SMK
Mario Kart's exactly the same in that regard. Yeah. Yeah, the PAL version for Mario Kart or for SMK is significantly different than the NTSC version.
So it's not a speed thing, it's a reprogramming thing gone wrong.
They basically had to make the game entirely different,
really?
which is weird. Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah. So some tricks don't work, and some strategies certainly don't, because reasons.
Yeah.
But it's like two different teams worked on the games.
Mm-hmm. Like strategies that you would like gloss over, like the very, very first corner of the very first track is entirely different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's an immediate impact once you play PAL to NTSC. You notice like, oh my god, I can't do this most basic maneuver. It just doesn't work, and it's very strange how that works out.
I was doing that today, Joe. I actually played MC1 PAL today, and I had to ask Carol, how the fuck do you do this first corner? This is not like NTSC at all.
No, totally different. Yeah, that was my biggest, because when I got my PAL copy from Clark, I just assumed it would be very, very similar. And when I did the first corner, I crashed. I'm like, what? This never happens. I've never done that before. And yeah, I had to learn that it was a totally reprogrammed game.
Yeah, and at that point you were the champion of NTSC or something?
Yeah, it was 2005. And I was like, I crashed in the first corner of the first track. This is not boding very well.
Right. It's a tough transition. Like, really, if you kind of can't play the two versions at the same time.
No.
Many people have high records in both games. That's quite possible. But if you interchange them like daily, you're going to fuck your head up. You're going to be...
Yeah, you'd have to get muscle memory back. Like if you play it for a month and then you go back to NTSC or whatever, then everything seems faster and better. So I think that my working theory of why people who start on PAL do so well in NTSC is because A, NTSC is easier, and B, you're basically taking the training wheels off. Like it's just you're practicing on a very, very difficult game, and then when you go over to NTSC, it's easier. So there's not a lot of NTSC natives who go to PAL and perform at the same level, but there's a lot of people who go from PAL to NTSC and have significantly better success. Yeah,
PAL is just more punishing.
For Punch-out, I think PAL is the easier version if you were to do a speedrun on both.
You said it was faster.
Yeah, what makes it different?
The frame, it's 50 frames per second, and on Tyson you have to land frame perfect punches. And I was watching MPAP do Tyson attempts on PAL for like the one time he ever did them, and he was saying that he could tell there's at least a little bit of an increase in the window because it's 50 instead of 60.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, that's a thing in itself. But are there different mechanics as well?
Oh yeah, that everything. I can't even give you a whole list of them, but like there's Mike Tyson's Punch-out, and then there's Punch-out without Mike Tyson. Like there's with Mr. Dream at the end.
Yeah.
And in NTSC, it's the exact same game, and for PAL, they're completely different. Like they're just programmed. The fighters are just way different, and I don't know why, but it's bizarre.
Well, that was how they did games back in the day. They like. Porting and just the NTSC PAL thing, they just went any which way to make it work.
No, but I'm saying even for PAL Punch-out with Mr. Dream versus PAL Punch-out with Mike Tyson, they're completely different, and that I don't know why.
Weird.
Well, it's the same with some of the version 1.1 games. The speedrun will be completely altered because of one oversight in the 1.0 version or whatever. Happens a lot, makes speedrunning sort of interesting, but it's a whole thing.
I have another question for Salt. Will you ever get another Phase 3 uppercut?
Probably not, but who knows? I'm gonna keep trying.
Did it happen?
It happened once.
Yeah, I got it once, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is Joe's favorite question.
That is my favorite question because it's so difficult. I mean, just to do Tyson at a high level itself is very hard, but to get a Phase 3 uppercut for a human, that's just next level type of stuff.
And it was considered to be like TAS only for a while, and then it wasn't just me who was like, oh hey, I can do this. Like as a community, we kind of figured out if we just cut our dodges tighter, it probably is possible. So.
But the execution also has to be exact, and I think you were basically one frame away from getting a perfect fight.
Yeah. So
I know you missed a punch
in Phase 3.
Yeah.
And I was probably like one frame away from it working. So.
Man, so the record could have gone from 205 to like 202.
Yeah, I can't remember what the pattern was. I think it was a 202 pattern.
Man.
Maybe 201. I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is sub 2.
There we go, yeah. Theoretically, it's possible.
Yeah. The 1 in a million run.
What's kind of fun is a lot of the theoretically it's possible. That's sort of what happens with games over time. Like Donkey Kong Country, you have a lot of task-specific stuff being in the game now, and most famously SMB1, you're almost using all the task tricks by this point. So most of what you see in the 455 is like stuff that was deemed task only a couple of years back.
Well, that's the only thing you can really do to push the record as far as it has gone. So I guess conservative strats work up until a point, and then you have to start venturing off into things you would think that would, like, 1 in every 100 runs would work, and then you have to incorporate that for all your runs at that point.
Which is sort of when speedrunning falls apart, breaks down at that point, to me. But hey, more props to the people who do it. That's a dedication I cannot fathom. All right, I think we got through everything okay, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I'll get back to my wrenchly duties. And thank you so much, Salt, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is fun. Greatly enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool. So it's been a long time in the making. It's sort of been a segment on our podcast, the Summoning Salt Circle Jerk at the end of every show.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we've mentioned your name at least once in every single episode. So
it's not full-on 14-year-old girl goes banana hammock on a Justin Bieber concert.
No.
Not full on that, but it's a great admiration for the work you've done.
Just a ton of respect and getting to know you over the past, I don't know, 3 years, I guess. Maybe has that been that long? It's just been fun. I know we talk fairly regularly, but yeah, it's just it's been emotional, Salt.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. This is cool. I like Super Mario Kart's got a pretty sick community from what I've seen. So
it's certainly one of the
we'll see about that video.
Well, we're not going to make you do anything,
older
obviously. But yeah, it's like us and GoldenEye. We go back very, very far. So
anyway, let's call it a day. And well, it has been real, guys. And thank you so much for joining. And have a rest of your lives.
Thank you.